Hey, it's Marlon Smith here. And I want you to understand right now, you are in for a treat because we have a phenomenal thought leader, a phenomenal entrepreneur extraordinaire. And so I want you to get ready because what we're going to be talking about tonight is the business mindset of an entrepreneur, a winning entrepreneur. As we know, many business owners don't make it. And I'm standing up right now because this is a standing ovation experience. That's right. You know, this event, this program, this movement, it's all about each one of us stepping up, raising our consciousness. And this man, he's read so many books, but more than reading the books, he applies what he's learned. And so I'm so excited. And I want you just to type in the chat box, where are you watching from? I want to see who's here. Do we have anybody out in California? Do we have anybody in Charlotte? Do we have anybody up in Boston? Okay. Uh-oh, Alice is the number one. Come on, Alice. That's what I'm talking about. Glad you're here, right? And yes, it is going to be a great evening. Looking forward to another great session. You are in the right place at the right time. So go ahead. And for those of you that are just tuning in, hit the share button on Facebook Live because you want your family, your friends. I promise you, these next 55 minutes are going to be phenomenal. But, you know, I don't do it alone. I have my brother from another. And so we want to bring him up on the stage and talk about what we got planned tonight. Tony Jackson, come on, brother. Okay, you got yourself muted. I mean, Tony's so excited.
I was muted, man. I was so excited, man. I gave a great shout out, but I was on mute. But not tonight. It's off tonight. Man, tonight. You know what I'm loving about tonight, man?
What's that, man?
It's going to be like just some 3 old friends sitting around the table.
Yes, sir.
Talking business, talking life, talking about the things that make a difference. The business owner's mindset. What type of mindset do you have? Yeah. And people are checking in. We got Ruth Bell from Charlotte. We got Dr. Bonita Harris from Charlotte.
Yes.
Your Dave from Boston, Massachusetts. Man, they're coming in from coast to coast all over the world to hear tonight what we have to say.
Yes,
and
sir.
we have a phenomenal guest on tonight, man. Just phenomenal. This brother, man, I was joking with him in the green room, right? I said, when I met him, man, he was just so cool and smooth. I was like, man, he's smooth like Billy D. Williams type of smooth.
Yes.
Don't let that smooth toast taste fool you.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you,
man. So we're really excited, though, Marlon.
I am too, man. And I think
tell you, we've been getting so many good responses about this whole series of a business owner's mindset.
Okay.
And so that is like, man, just, you know, going back, recapping a little bit. Yes. First, we had Corey Vu, right? Yeah. Corey Vu was came and shared how he went from, you know, how his family split up, right, and then came to the United States, and they were in refugee camps and all that type of stuff. And then we moved from him. We had Damian Johnson. Right?
And before you move on from Corey, I want to say this. One of the things that I remember Corey saying, he said that when he was a young kid, that you would go to hotels and, you know, kind of, you know, sneak into the pools, right? And then he said, you know, now he has a daughter. And he said, I'll never forget, he said, you know, now they are at these 5-star, right, 5-diamond hotel resorts. And seeing his daughter go and swim in the pool, you know, she don't have to look over her shoulder, right? Like he did when he was a child. Right. That was powerful because when you have a big enough why, man, you are committed. And he said, I will never go back. Remember that, Tony? He said, it's my daughter, it's my family. So I you know, keep on going because I want to just give a recap.
And I see Brad Hudson's here. Brad was really inspired by Corey as well, you know? Yeah. And the thing about it is that so often we get where we come from. And as we get more generations away from some of the great people that have come along, not in our business, but other businesses. And that's another thing I respect about Emilio tonight is his how he links himself to past. You know, you talk about A.G. Gaston. He knows about A.G. Gaston. He knows about Fuller, you know, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Dudley and all those types of things. And so we see all those things. Here we got Cynthia from Alabama, and we got Leonard coming in, Leonard Wheeler. And so I love the fact that he brings all that in, you know, because we've had some great success among our people, right?
No doubt.
And so often we concentrate, we pay attention to the negative, but never the positive things and those great role models that are out there. Now, I can't talk to A.G. Gaston, right? But I can read his autobiography and get an idea of what his mindset was.
That's right. You know, and what I love about this guest, like you're saying, Tony, readers are leaders and leaders are readers. And so, like I said, man, I mean, he has a book club, right? You and I have been to their book club, right? Up, you know, what's that? Up in the Greensboro area, right?
Yeah, man. I went there, Mr. Joe Dudley's house in his basement with Emilio. A book study when they were doing Michael Roberts' Action Has No Season.
That's it.
And so, you know, all those type of things. And so then we had Damian Johnson, local guy, you know, grew up in Buffalo, New York, you know, comes to Charlotte, goes to Johnson C. Smith, and now has a franchise barbershop, you know, called and what a phenomenal story he was.
Oh my gosh, and what I love about it is that he changed his whole business model. And I think it was Mr. Dudley that talked to him, right? And he changed his business model and lost a lot of people. See, what that showed me is you have to have innovation. You know, it's easy to just keep on going. But he totally kind of just went 180 degrees and a lot of people left, but he believed in what he felt was the right way. And now look at them. Right? You know, doing franchises and whatnot. So the power of what you're talking about is so phenomenal. And I see we got Karen Braxton from Tacoma, Washington, right? So we got the West Coast. Alistar is on as well. What? Readers are leaders and leaders are readers. Okay. Oh, that's not Alistar. I'm sorry. That was is Eliza? Oh no, that is Alistar. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, somebody came up after him. You know, we got so many people flying in, man. Alistar.
Seth Green came up, man, one of my good clients. And then we have someone from Greenville, South Carolina. And so people are really falling in, ready to get this lesson tonight, man. And it's so awesome.
And I want to say something about that because I know you're going to talk about last week's, owner. I know I can't. But one thing I want to say about Damian, what I really took away from No Grease and the barbershops, he's got 7 barbershops, opening up another one in Georgia, another one in South Carolina. You know, now we're talking about doing some things. The systems, you got to have a system, right, for scalability, right? You got to be able to take it to the next level. And, you know, I see we got Alistair on, you know, we were talking to him earlier today, right, Tony, you know, and JD. And so what's so powerful is that he's got a system, right? My friend Leonard Wheeler, former NFL football player, right? He's got a very phenomenal, successful business. He's got a system. The reason why I'm bringing out these nuggets of wisdom is because if they can do it, we can do it. Are y'all with me? Success leaves footprints. And I know you want to talk about last week's, you know, special guest because he also has a phenomenal system. So break it down.
Well, man, here's the thing I want to say about that, because when you said system, I had to pull this up. Got an email from Dr. George Frazier today. Okay. And in the email, he said this. He says, I've been saying this for years to our entrepreneurs. If you don't have a business, if you don't have a system, you don't have a business. That email came at 6:17 from George tonight. And there you go, talking about the same thing. And I know you're not on this email, so I know you didn't hear it. So,
I didn't hear it.
Cool, man. It's having a system. Yeah. Let me tell you about last week, Marlon. And I know you lost power. You were able to be here for Mr. Pinkert, man. But let me Picard. I'm sorry, Picard. Bill Picard. Yeah. This guy, and humble beginnings, right? He was born in LaGrange, Georgia, and then he said they up south, Flint, Michigan, right? Up south, right? So they moved to Flint, Michigan, right? And he goes to Western Michigan University. Said he was a solid C student, right? Him and his arm, who eventually became the mayor of Detroit. But he talked about relationships and everything relationships. This guy, man, with 3 other brothers, right? They started their first McDonald's with student loan money. They used their student loan money, started their own McDonald's, eventually got up to 9 before their partnership split. He has 9 now, right? And not only that, he has the major auto suppliers around in the world, right?
Oh,
in terms of auto parts and that type of thing.
sure.
And he is the managing partner of the Detroit MGM Grand Casino, right? MGM Casino, Detroit.
Yeah.
And check it out, man. He's only 79 years young.
Wow, look at that.
You know, it's
and got so much energy. He got so much energy, right, Tony?
Energy, man. And when he was on the show with us, and he had just come back from working out, you know, so he didn't have no internet. So we fought through it, but we've been blessed with some phenomenal people, and tonight is no different. I want to give you a plug. I want to let you know who's coming next week. LaPronda Spain is coming next week. LaPronda's going to be our guest.
Lucky. All right.
So, we got Emilio tonight. We got Emilio tonight. We got LaPronda next week, man. Okay. And then we're going to cap this off with a big name. I just know we are.
Okay.
Man, just really excited. And business owner's mindset, man.
Right.
The mindset of a business owner. And, you know, I think we ought to get ready to bring our guest on, man. I think we ought to get ready, let him come on and share some knowledge.
Drum roll, please.
Because this is important. You used to talk about me, Marlon. You talked about me, man, because I did door-to-door insurance sales, right? So I know it's insurance sales. And you know, I felt all right about it because when I went and heard Mr. Dudley speak, he said, there's some things that you can only learn if you sell door-to-door. And I'm looking at Emilio's background, born in Brooklyn, New York, right, in a low-income neighborhood in the Bronx. You know, his family had migrated from Honduras. And then when I look here, he started his business career selling door to door in the beauty industry at a ripe young age of 19. He was a national sales trainer at 22, 24. He became a regional sales manager with over 30 distributors in 6 states. At so 22. Man, this guy I can tell you something. When you go door to door, you know how to accept no and keep rolling, right? You know, it makes you thick skinned. That's right. That's right. Feeling that some of that thick skin that he learned going door to door has carried him through some other times. No doubt. Some lessons that you learn knocking on doors that you don't learn anywhere else. That's right. So I'm really excited about Emilio coming on. Marlon, take it from here, man. You've known Emilio for a while. Just bring him on, man. Just bring him on in your own way.
Yeah. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, what you're in for a treat. This young man is a man on a mission. He's a husband. He's a father of a beautiful daughter. She's going on 7. And what I love about Emilio is that he's a big thinker. He's a big thinker. And one of the things that it's one thing, you know, all the previous entrepreneurs, you heard that, you know, they're innovation, you know, either innovation or you die. And this man, he reinvents himself. I mean, here you're going to hear a story of, you know, he wasn't born with this, you know, silver spoon, right? But he said there's a way. And that's why I'm really excited, because you're going to hear some of the books he read. But again, as I said, readers are leaders and leaders are readers. But he didn't just read the book, he applied what he read. And, you know, as you heard in the brief bio, 19, right, door to door. And then by 21, 22, boom, he had a staff of 30 people in 6 different states. So he was rocking and rolling. So he learned how to be a manager of people. But he's taken that skill set to his own business, right? And so he, you know, has a phenomenal story. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but I'm very excited to bring my brother from another, okay? And I want you to get ready, get your pen, get your paper. You know, we call him Emilio. Sometimes they call him Antonio. You know, I don't know who he's running from, but he is a good brother, all right? So go ahead, get your pen, your paper ready, because we're going to bring up Emilio. Let's bring him up, y'all.
How you doing, guys?
How you doing, brother?
Oh man, doing great, man. You guys are amazing, man. You know, I'm really humbled, you know, for the opportunity to, you know, share some thoughts with your audience. Let me just congratulate you two, and you know, for the work that, you know, that you're doing. I mean, and helping people the effort and the time and the preparation that it takes to do these weekly programs. I mean, that's dedication and that's commitment, and that's what it takes to succeed, right? Right there. It's a great example. What you guys are doing, a great example. Marlon, I thank you, man, for the friendship. That's from from day one that we met. We've had this really great friendship where we respect one another. We've shared and broke bread and really, helped to uplift one another. Tony, ever since I met you, man, and your son, Junior, it's just been your whole family's just been a fantastic relationship as well. So, I just got to make sure I don't get too comfortable here with you two guys, because you know how we are when we get together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No doubt.
So you got to rein me in. Just let me know, rein me in.
Right. Brother, good talk, man. But Emilio, I want to kick it off, man. I wanted to kick it off. Talk to us about man, your upbringing. I heard the bio, right? It was, could be from some perspective somewhat challenging. It's a challenging neighborhood. So I want to hear from you, man. Talk to us, because one of the things about this show is we like to keep it real. We want our viewers to understand. We look at you now. You hang out with billionaires, and you're doing your thing, but it wasn't always like that. And there
no.
So talk to me about your beginning, and what was the turning point? What was the trigger where you're like, yo, I deserve better. I can be better. Boom. Talk to about your beginning. What did you see in your neighborhood growing up?
So, I come from a family of 7, and and my parents, they emigrated here to this country from Honduras, Central America.
Okay.
And so my uncle, who just passed away last year, at the age of 103 years old.
What?
Yes. My father's brother. He he came to this country because he was a merchant marine during the Korean War.
Okay.
And what happened was, the United States, it had this. They say there is a department that most people don't know about it, and it's called a division of the military called the Merchant Marines. So the Merchant Marines kind of they run supplies from they help the soldiers in the fight. And they bring supplies to the different countries. They transport supplies to different countries for the United States military. And so my uncle was one of those Merchant Marines out of Honduras, Central America.
Okay.
And so when after the war was over, the U.S. granted them the opportunity to become citizens of this country if they, decided that's what they wanted to do. He took that offer, of course, and because of that, my father was able to come to this country. He brought my father here along with a few of his other brothers. And so when my father came, they already had 3 children, 2 of my sisters and my older brother. And it took him about 6 years. They had to wait. He had to wait about 6 years or so before he could bring them here as well. So there was a gap there, between the 3 oldest and the youngest 4 because of that, because he had to wait before he could bring them here.
Wow.
And so the last 4 of us were born the 2 were born in Brooklyn, and the last 2 were born in the South Bronx. But so I was born in Brooklyn, but I was raised in the South Bronx, And if you know anything about what the South Bronx was like, during I was born in '66, so in the '70s, early '70s, it was really you could go back and look at some clips of what the South Bronx was like back then.
Yeah.
And we used to we would hold hands, the last 4 of us, and my mother would walk us to school, but we would walk back home from school holding hands, all 4 of us together. And because she would be at work sometimes, and we would pass by some abandoned buildings, all different types of just really things that you wouldn't want anyone to grow up under. But that was what it was, you know what I mean? That's what it was. But the one thing that I had that I the older you get, the more you are able to appreciate is what my parents instilled in us. My father was blind. you know.
Really?
So yeah, so he worked at the National Industries for the Blind Association in Brooklyn, and we lived in the Bronx. So he would catch the train on the subway to go from the Bronx to Brooklyn. You know, we would walk him to the train station, but then he would get on the train from there himself and get off wherever, you know, at his stop. And he did this. He was making, I think my sister told me, less than $2 an hour at that time, you know.
So
Yeah,
what did that show you, Emilio? I mean, your dad's blind.
Yeah,
and
he
you know,
got robbed like 3 or 4 different times. You know, walking, you know, through the subway to come down, you know, to come home. So, but this was what it was. You know, he did what he felt he had to do in order to be able to provide as little as he could for his family. But he did that, you know, and that, yeah, you know, that, you know, the question you asked, what did it do for me? I mean, it you know, it really taught me just that those images, they stay with you forever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You don't never forget that, you know, and it just taught me that you know, there is always a way, and you know, and that there's no such thing as excuses. You know.
So Tony, before you ask the next question, I love for our viewers, just type in the chat box, you know, what if you heard Emilio. See, we like to sizzle the nuggets of wisdom. So what Emilio said, you know, man, there were some challenges, but it also, I mean, what I see is 4 little kids holding hands, right? And so he learned a very important value of, you know, we're in this together, you know, we're together. So I want our viewers just to type in the chat box, give us something that you learned as a young child that, you know, has been a blessing. See, sometimes a tragedy is an opportunity flipped upside down.
Right, absolutely.
So for our viewers, I'm asking you to write in the chat box, you know, give us something. What did you learn as a child that's made you stronger? Okay, adversity. Go ahead, Tony.
And I was just listening to him, and you know what's so interesting is as many conversations we've had is to hear the backstory, you know, to hear the backstory of what people have gone through. Listen, his dad was blind.
I know.
And when you think about that, can you imagine? I imagine is that there's times, Emilio, where when you felt like quitting, you thought about your dad.
No question about it. I mean, you know, I mean, my wife will tell you, you know, I mean, I just, you know, to me, you know, I'm not a worrier. I always think there's a way. There's always a way, you know, to and you know, I know we'll talk more about that as we go, but that's what it was. But the one thing that they instilled in us that made a difference was, although we were in the environment, they never made us feel that we were part of the environment. You see what I mean? So my father, you know, he taught us, you know, he had us reading the Bible, you know, he you know, was always sharing you know, stories with us. And you know, it wasn't easy, you know. I mean, it was tough for him too, because you know, you have to understand, he didn't become blind until he was about 40 30s and late 30s, because he was 40 years old when he had me, you know, when they had me. So that was tough for him. He went through a phase that was very tough for him, having to deal with that issue and with the family, you know what I mean? So but he, you know, but that was the one thing that they taught us: resilience, you know. And they taught us that, you know, that the environment is the environment, but it doesn't have to be in you. And
that's good, man.
That made me always made us all want to do better, you know, want to improve ourselves and improve our lives. And so even my sisters, you know, I have 5 sisters, you know what I mean? And you know, I think, what is it? I think 3 of them have master's degrees. You know, one of them from Columbia, and you know, my younger sister, she's a registered nurse, and you know, so I mean, so all of us, we were all taught that, you know, you have to get out here and you have to make the sacrifices in order for you to be able to succeed, you know, and you can't make any excuses.
So it's not always what happens to you, but how you handle it.
Right.
How do you handle it? How do you persevere? How do you continue to make it? So transition us, Emilio. So how did you get to North Carolina? How did you get involved with the Dudley organization? Kind of transition that piece for us.
Well, I mean, what happened was, even, as I said, even though we were part of that, we were in that environment. One of the things that I always believed was that I was still going to be successful, And I'll tell you this: I was telling, I was on another podcast and I was sharing this story, I was always I was always an introvert, so and so I always kind of curious and creative. Yeah, I know it doesn't seem like it, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm an introvert, but my goals make me do extroverted things.
Got it. I feel
right. So I would read at the time, outside of the Bible, I read more fiction books. One of the books that I used to read during that time, in my teenage years, were Robert Ludlum books. And the Born Identity, Born Supremacy. I was reading those books back then. When I was in the 8th, 9th grade.
Wow.
And Mario Puzo's The Godfather. But this was the thing. Those books at the time, they would take me to other parts of the world. So if you ever watch any of the Robert Ludlum's movies, Born Identity and all of those, he's all over the world.
Right.
So those books, as I was reading them, I was transposed to the images of what those other parts of the world look like. So even though I was in that environment like that, I could see other parts of the exactly.
Right.
So
I mean, no, I was just gonna say, man, imagination is power, right? And look, Dr. Benita Harris said, backstories always make or break us. She said, your dad is amazing. Did not let a disability stop him from providing, right?
No, he did not.
Commitment. And I mean, can you imagine? I mean,
he would get up at 5 o'clock every morning to make sure he was at the train station by 6 a.m. every day. He would do that.
You know what I'm saying? That's commitment. And then Alistair said, my grandfather was from Ghana and blind also.
Yeah,
right.
That's absolutely.
Yeah. So you see, I want our viewers to understand that, listen, we have no excuse. Come on.
No.
Come on, Tony. Come on, Emilio.
Yeah,
we have no excuse. I mean,
man.
What do you say, Tony?
Well, compared to that, man, we really have it easy. But I like what he said here. He said that his grandfather used to say the only thing worse than being blind is to have sight but no vision.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that.
And and my father, even though they came here and they had less than a 6th grade education, my father learned Braille. He still learned Braille because he wanted to still read.
Got it.
So he learned Braille so that he could still read. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so but that was those are the facts. But again, let me go back to tell you about the books. And so what happened was, one day I'm telling one of my sisters, Inez, who was one of my oldest sisters, and I said, and I would, we had a close relationship, and I would always go to her and I'd say, Inez, one of these days, I said, I'm going to be successful though. I was 16, 17 years old, and I would go to her apartment and I would tell her that. And then one day she comes out of her bedroom and she comes out with this book called Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier. And I had, outside of the Bible, I had never read any nonfiction books like that, much less a book about thinking and your mind and inspiration, and I never read anything like that. But so she says, you know what, take this book. I want you to read this book because you're always talking about you're going to be successful. So just go ahead and take this book and read this book. She didn't know what she was doing, right? She didn't know what she was, but I take this book. And so in my last year high school, I can't stay with my parents because I have 3 other sisters, the younger sisters, and we're in a 1-bedroom apartment. So they're sleeping in the living room,
right?
And they would take the bed back into the bedroom when everybody woke up. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm now older, so I went and got my own place. So in my last year senior high school, I have my own place, you know, my own room, you know, rented a room.
Yes.
And I worked 2 part-time jobs after school. You know, and I would catch the train from one after I get off at 2:15, catch the train, you know, catch the train to the next one and get off and go back to school. So I was, you know, so that was my senior year. That's what my senior year was like. It was, you know, and so anyway, but it didn't matter to me. It is what it is. My father had done what he had done, so it wasn't no thing. I had goals, I had dreams, things that I wanted to do. But my sister gave me this book, and I read this book on the train every time I was going, you know, and I could not. You know, I had never read anything like that in my life, you know, like this book just really opened up my mind to possibilities, you know, and explained to me even further than what my parents had, that I could be in control of my own destiny, you know, you know, and so, you know, that changed my life, you know, and so one of the things about books is that what's the first thing you do when you get a really good book, you know? You want to what? You want to share with somebody else, you know? And so my cousin, Stan Anderson in Queens, and his wife, Doris, you know, we were really close. And so I go to his house one day and say, listen, man, you know, we always talking about success and everything. You got to read this book. You know, this is, my sister gave me this book. It was a hardcover book, you know. To this day, I still have that same book. I actually paid $150 to get it you know what they call it, rebound. Yeah, yeah. You know, because it means that much to me, right? So anyway, and so I told him, I said, man, you got to read this book. He said, man, let me tell you something about this book. He said, look, he flipped to the back of the book, and in the back of the book, there's a story of S.B. Fuller. You know, who S.B. Fuller was A.G. Gaston's contemporary. They were two of the richest black men in America at the time. And Mr. Fuller was, you know, owned, you know, a lot of, you know, businesses in Chicago at the time. And so Robert Collier had interviewed him, and he was one of his testimonials in the back of the book. So he says to me, you see this guy right here, this man, Mr. S.B. Fuller? He said, that's the man who's the mentor, who's my mentor's mentor, you know, and that man was Dr. Joel Dudley Sr., the founder of Dudley Products, right? And so I said to him, I said, listen, anybody that's any organization that's reading books like these, I want to be a part of it.
Whoa.
You know, you have to get me to meet Mr. Dudley, you know? And he said, all right, man, I'll talk to him. So it was about a year later, something like that. He came to town, to Brooklyn, and on Nostrand Avenue. And my cousin told me to come out, then Mr. Dudley would talk to me. And then that's what happened. I met him, and he said to me, he said, listen, you know, you want to be successful, you know, you need to become a businessman, you know, and if you want me to, I'll teach you, you know, what it takes. And, you know, my first, and, you know, so I came down to Greensboro, and I went door to door for about 6 months, you know, but I took it seriously. Anything I do, I mean, I literally took it like it was like a business, you know. I mean, I knew everybody in my community. I had written down everybody's name and everybody's house. I knew, how many houses were in the community. I mean, I took that thing. I had all my data of everybody. I knew what they had bought. I know what they were buying. I mean, I took that, and that's when my career began, just like that.
So, you know, one thing I want to say, I heard you say the book, right? You know, reading. So I want our viewers to type in the chat box, you know, what are some books you've read? Because again, this is a community forum, right? I mean, Tony and I, we're just the hosts. We bring people together, but you know, we can learn from each other. And so I want everyone in the chat box, write in the chat box, what's one book that has truly blessed you, right? That truly blessed you. But besides the Bible, all it
takes is one book.
All it takes is one. Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dr. Dennis Pembroke is my book. What's your book, Tony?
Man, my book, man, I think Richest Man in Babylon is one of the books.
Okay.
That was real powerful. But the one thing that I would say, it's not a book. It was the Black encyclopedia that my sister bought. And they had this encyclopedia, and it was African American history or something, or Encyclopedia of History or something like that.
Okay.
I remember I go in there, No one ever looked at those books. I mean, these encyclopedias, nowhere. And I would go in and I would read about different people.
Wow.
Read about different things in terms of our and that's the only place we got that type of information.
Sure.
You know, we didn't teach it in school.
No.
Or any of that type of stuff. And so I can remember early on that's being one of the major things. I can remember as a little child opening and at first when I would read, I would just look at the pictures.
Yeah.
And eventually was able to read that book. And that I remember that profoundly.
Yeah. And the reason I'm bringing this up because I want us all to understand your imagination. You know, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Right? C plus B equals A. What you conceive in your mind, you believe in your heart, you will achieve. And what Emilio has shared is that, man, this book just opened him up. But he was already a reader. Readers are leaders and leaders are readers. The other nugget of wisdom that I want to really distill.
He just changed the genre of the book, right?
Right. That's it. But you know, the other thing, mentors, right? I mean, he had, Mr. Dudley as his mentor. But the other thing is this, I got to say this, is that, Tony, you and I talk about this all the time. Success or luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
That's right.
You heard Emilio say, like, he took it serious, right? He, had his notepad. He was doing, kept records so he could know. So that to me is, man, you got to seize it.
The thing about it is, if I can share this is, and that's one thing that you learn in Secret of the Ages too, and actually Robert Colley wrote another book that I think is even more powerful. It's called Riches Within Your Reach.
Wow.
Yeah, if you read, Riches Within Your Reach to me is the book that, that I think is transformative for anybody that I always say that I don't know what Robert Colley, how he was inspired, to put the words on paper the way he did, but it's unbelievable. But the thing about it is, even when you think about even some of the things that are going on right now and the challenges that people are having, it's a challenge. That's what it is, And I think that a lot of us have always heard this quote, "This too shall pass," But most of us, the problem with most of us is, we don't really believe the things that we're saying, or we don't believe them, because we say them, but we don't really live them, right? So one of the things that my mentor and Mr. Fuller used to always say too was, you don't just go to church, you got to do church. And what he meant by that was, you got to really, if you're going to have faith, then you can't be in fear and faith at the same time. You have to, they can't reside in the same place at the same time. One is going to push the other one out, So you have to have that. And first of all, you have to be sure about what it is that you want. You got to know what you want. And then you have to be 100% convinced that you will get it, regardless of what's happening, regardless of what's happening in the now.
Got it.
See, if you get caught up too much in what's happening in the now, and you allow the noise to to impact you because you're just so caught up in the now, then you don't allow yourself the freedom to think freely about the later. You see what I'm saying? So so you have to not to say that you ignore what's going on, but in some way you have to know that you have to be convinced, you have to be reassured that is something in you. And these are what those books read. There's something in you that has prepared you to be able to deal with it, get through it, and thrive through it. Wow. You have to be convinced of that. You know what I'm saying? If you're not convinced of that, and that's not something that anybody can give you, that's not something that anybody can put in you, that's something that you're going to have to come with and believe and dig deep in within yourself. And it doesn't matter what it is that's happening. You know what I mean? Think about it from a bigger perspective. This is not the only challenge that the world has ever seen. It's just one that you're seeing while you're here and going and passing through right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Right. You know what I mean? You know, so you're not the only one that's been through these challenges. There were different groups at times, at different times, that went through different things that were, that were terrible. Let me share this with you. When I started my first business, I thought that things were going to go really well and that I was going to jump out there and things would jump out. When I started my first business, I was 29. With less than a year, I lost my house.
Whoa. Okay.
My first house that I had bought at around 24 years old, right? I had a 525 BMW, which I probably didn't need to have at that time, but right? I mean, I was 24 years old, right? And I could, and I did, and I had a 525 Alpine white with leather gray interior. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I would keep the cover on. I would keep the cover on it because I had another car, right? And one day I drive up to my my house with the other car, and I'm I think I was with my cousin, I think, and we're talking, and I'm telling him about the business, and I'm excited about what I'm about to do and what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And and we drive up to the house, and I don't see the other car with the cover on it. And that's just like when you've been broke before and you go to the ATM hoping to see that there's still $5 there and there ain't nothing there. Right. So I mean, I'm thinking, well, did I let somebody borrow the car, or or did somebody steal it? Soon I find out, no, the car was picked up. You know what I'm saying?
Repo. For those of you, he's being polite, y'all. Repossessed, okay?
Repossessed, right?
All right, yeah.
But I'm gonna put this. I'm about to put this in context for you.
No doubt.
Was there a pandemic at the time? No.
Mm-mm.
But the emotions that I felt then are no different than if you lose something during this pandemic.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying, right?
Right. The emotion,
the grieving of it is the same.
It's the same.
Sure.
So the point I'm making is I had to fight through it, get through it, and get on to the other side. And the only thing that helped me to do that was I had to make up my mind that did not matter. Those things did not make me.
Okay.
You were defined by the material things.
There's
by that 525. You weren't defined by that house.
Right. Watch this. Watch this, what I'm about to share with you. This is something that I came up with. Do not let the coins that rattle in your pocket determine your self-worthiness.
Okay.
Because then what happens is, if you read any autobiographies of any really successful people, they've had times where they had everything, they've times they've lost everything, and then there's times where they went and got it back. Now, why is that? Because what coins rattled in their pocket did not determine their self-worthiness.
That's right.
Because if you do, then once those things disappear, your self-esteem and your self-image and your self-worthiness goes down with it.
That's it.
So you can't find it within you to get it all back, because you made those things be you.
That's it. And the thing is what you're saying, Emilio, is that regardless of what's going on the outside, you are your inner core, right? There's greatness within you. But also, I think the distinction, because a lot of times we've been programmed. We live in the matrix, man, right? And so we're being programmed. But what you've done is, like I love Morpheus, talking to Mr. Anderson in the Matrix, right? You want the red pill or the blue pill, right? You take the red pill, boom, you just wake up, you're Mr. Anderson, life is humdrum. Take the blue pill, life's going to be an adventure. You're going to awaken to the greatness that's in you. And that's why even, we got Carrie over in Australia. She's watching. She says Tony Robbins books, right? Awaken the giant within. Unleash the power within, right? Within, right? There's power within, right? There's greatness within each one of us. I'm talking to you. That's what Emilio's saying. Look, car repo, lost his house, but he knew that's on the exterior. I know what I got within me. It's like a seed. It's like a seed, like what apple seed, right?
Yeah.
An apple seed within the seed is an orchard, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
right? It's right.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you got to know it doesn't matter rain or shine, right? Sleet or snow. That seed has what it has in it, right?
Yeah.
And I love this. You know, Alistair says "Closing the Racial Gap" by Eugene Mitchell, right?
Let me just say that, man. Right now, it's so interesting you put that because, of course, you know, Eugene was on our show. We did 3 shows with Eugene, right?
That's right.
And right now, my team is doing a book study on closing the racial gap. So we're taking the book, we're taking the 7 untold rules, and we're breaking them down, of course, for our industry, you know, insurance, and how we meet each of those 7 untold rules. And I thought that was so interesting when he put that there. And then Evelyn, right? She put "How to Win Friends and Influence People" by Dale Carnegie.
Great book. Great book. Absolutely.
Great book.
You know.
No
See,
doubt.
let me share this one thing with you. Because I'm just trying to share whatever I can within the time frame that may make a difference to some of your audience. And one of the things is, and the reason why I said that about self-worthiness is because if you tie things to your personal power, see, then you don't understand where personal power comes from, right?
Okay.
You know, so just think about Mother Teresa. I learned a lot from her. Gandhi. Mother Teresa never walked around with a penny in her pocket. But she was yet so powerful that she could pick up the phone and call any head of state around the world and they would take a call. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, right?
You know, her personal power was not defined by her coins. They were defined by her beliefs. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, you know, you have to check yourself and see what is it that I believe about me and what do I believe?
Right.
You know, and then only then you will then understand what kind of personal power you have. You know, money is just a medium of exchange. You know, but you cannot ever let that define your personal power, because it is your personal power that will carry you through the ups and downs.
Wow.
Because when you're down, there will be many that will not believe in you.
That's right.
That will run from you.
Right.
And the only person you're going to have to be able to rely on is that personal power within you. Now, where does that come from? Jesus said, if ye have faith in me as in my Father, if you have faith in my Father as I do, you can do greater things than I.
Right.
Now, he said that. I didn't say that. He said that.
Right.
He said, ye shall be able to do greater things than I. Now, he is, all of us sitting right now on this panel and everybody that's watching us, we consider ourselves a child of God, do we not? Now, you have a child, 2 children, Marlon. You have children, Tony, and I have a daughter. I believe that I trust that my daughter will do well because I know that what's in her, what's in me, I know it's in her. I know that what's in my wife is in her. So I know that she's going to be all right. I know she's going to do well.
Right.
You believe the same.
That's right. So
if I am a child of God and he is my Father, then what's in him is also in me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You know, if I am his child, what is in him is in me. And this is not from a religious standpoint. I'm talking about principles, right? You know, that are just common sense. They make sense. So what kind of power do you have if you have that?
Right. That's good, man. That's good. I mean, that's everything, Emilio.
So much come to mind. You know, he that is in you is greater than he that is in the world. Right. So that a man thinketh, so is he.
Right.
And it goes back to your mindset. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your God who's in you? We say that, right? We say that. We say, hey, listen, the church is not the building, right? We say that. And that's true. The church is in us.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. So here's the thing. But here's the thing, Emilio and Tony. we got to talk about what are you, because our time is rolling. I want to get to what your movement is, but also the habits. We got to talk about the habits because we can say this now. We're on this show. Everybody's like, amen, Emilio. Wow, that's deep. But what are the habits that you do, Emilio, right? You do, Tony, on a daily basis to get you in that mindset where it becomes part of your identity, right? What have you do? What do you do? And I want our viewers to type in the chat box, what do you do so that because this is a negative society, right?
Let me tell you what I think. Let me tell you what's one of the number one things I feel as though is really important.
Okay.
The conversation that you have with yourself.
Okay. Self-talk.
Yeah, all day, your self-talk. What is your self-talk? What kind of self-talk do you have with yourself all day? What are you telling yourself? Are you repeating what you're hearing and you're telling it to yourself and making it part of you? Or are you a free thinker?
Right.
You know what I mean? Are you a free thinker? So one of the most important things is what conversation are you having with yourself? What is your self-talk? What is it? You know what I mean? What are you having? What are you saying to yourself? You got to watch that because the mind is no different than a field of grass, right? That grass is only going to be green and pretty if you tend to it. You know what I mean? If you don't tend to it, weeds will come out of it naturally, and you better believe it. Your mind is the same, Right. So when you catch something, telling yourself something that is contrary to what you really want to believe, you better start telling yourself what it is that you want to believe, even if you don't believe it yet.
Right.
I want to challenge our just on what Emilio just said. I want to challenge our viewers to do this. I want to challenge everyone out there right now. No more negative self-talk. I want to challenge you for the next 40 days. Positive affirmations about yourself. Positive self-talk. Me, Marlon, all of us included.
Yes, sir.
Let's make a commitment. Yeah. This is July 30th, 2020, that we are going to participate and do positive self-talk. Because I think that's so important because whatever you say,
focus on that. Yeah, focus on that.
Two greatest words is I am.
I am. Yeah. And here's what I want to do. And Emilio, jump in. Next Thursday, we're going to have a report back. It's going to be the honor system. Okay. But we're going to come back next Thursday. And for all of our viewers, because, man, Emilio, we got, family all over the United States, all over the world, as you can see, tuning in. And so that's going to be our first question, Tony. Okay. When we talk about next Thursday, before we bring up our special guest, LaPronda, we're going to talk about. I am. What was your self-talk these last 7 days? Yeah. If you're before we move on, if you're up for the challenge, type yes. If you're not up for this challenge, type no. Type it in the chat.
Put something. Let's start tonight. I am. Put in something. So I am.
And one day at some point we can talk a little bit more when we have more time about that whole thing. But I think it's I think it's just really important that you watch that, because if you don't, the negative self-talk is leads you onto a downward spiral of negative thinking, which will lead you to a downward spiral of negative results. And that will be par course of your journey of worry. You will spend more of your time worrying than you will being productive. And so you have to really watch that, because the one thing that a lot of people are doing right now is worrying. And I'm not minimizing the challenges and everything but what alternative do you have? That's what you got to ask yourself the question. What's the alternative? What choice are you going to make when you wake up in the morning, if you're blessed to wake up in the morning? What choice are you going to make? You have a choice as to how you're going to perceive this, how you're going to think about it, and how you're going to act on it.
That's powerful.
That's good.
And Tony, so many people,
you have a choice.
Emilio,
The greatest, my
Emilio,
mentor taught me one thing, that the greatest power that you possess is the power to choose.
Yeah,
that's the greatest power, is the power to choose. How we do, and just one more thing. Think about it. Think about this. Many people have gone on during this whole thing because of it, and not because of it, for other reasons this year.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any guarantee that you will be here in the next hour or be here in the morning. So to invest that precious time that you do have, which is precious, in worrying, as opposed to making the choice to be happy in whatever the situation is that you're in right now. Because if you woke up and you are able to put those 2 feet on the ground, and you are a free thinker, you are free to think about how you will navigate through this thing.
Wow.
That's good.
You see what I'm saying?
That is awesome.
You know what I mean? That's
last few minutes here. And I want to do 2 things before we go. Emilio, I want to give you an opportunity. First of all, what was your first business?
So my first business was really doing some of what I've been talking about, which was really helping people to really manage their thinking, and how they perceive things. And so I spent that was my first business. I did a lot of that because I learned it from all the books that I had read, and I felt as though that I had used it to help me in my the first part of my career, and I could share it with a lot of people, and that is what has led me to what I do now, which is as it is Capitalist Conversations, because I really strongly believe in this. What I want to spend the rest of my life doing is really promoting capitalism and free enterprise. I think that the 2 greatest gifts that we have, in this country, is free speech and free enterprise. The third one, which is not, in the Constitution, but it's one of the most powerful ones, is free thinking. And so I think that we have to really, without that, without the ability. As I always tell people, is capitalism perfect? No, but if you are a business person, you are a capitalist, and you are part of the capitalistic society that we live in. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't understand that, we're gonna miss the opportunities, because that is the only path that I see, to freedom, is to be able to use this ism of capitalism, is the only one that allows you the opportunity to use the greatest gift that God gave man. To me, is the gift of imagination.
Wow.
I like.
Ask one last question, and then Marlon, I think as we close, I think we could go back and kind of go some of the I am statements that our folks made, because they typed them in. I want to verbalize them. I want them to hear us say it on the air. So we'll go back through them. But the last question I wanted to ask Emilio is this: how do you define success?
I think that each individual has to define success for what it is that their desire is. If your desire is to be the greatest and create and design the most beautiful building that you can imagine, and you are able to do that, and for you that's what success is measured by, then you're successful. You know what I mean? It's about it's about setting a goal for something that you want to accomplish. And we talk about success a lot of times as it's always just one big thing and that's it. But success is not like that. Success is really a journey of a whole lot of small successes. Because if you look at it like that, and listen, if you think that success is just the one big thing, you know, and it takes you 100 years to get it, then you'll never be happy.
Right. On that journey.
But it's a
but if you see it as the small steps and each one is a success, then you know you'll be happy because you'll be able to reward yourself for those small successes that eventually will lead to the ultimate success that you are reaching for. But you have to make that choice, you know, to be happy today. Don't wait to be happy tomorrow. Don't wait for everything to be the way you want it to be before you're happy. You know, make that decision, make that choice. I don't care what's going on right now. To enjoy this day, to achieve that goal that you have set for today. Enjoy the process in achieving it. You know what I mean? Get the noise out the way.
Right.
You know, work on today and what you're trying to accomplish today.
Okay.
You know?
Now.
And be grateful.
Yes. Gratitude.
Gratitude. You wake up in the morning, be grateful for that. The fact that you can lay down at night and even start making a prayer, be grateful for that.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? So gratitude leads to plenty. You know, ungratefulness is the beginning of poverty. My mentor used to say.
That's good.
So be grateful, man. Be grateful for every little thing. You know, if you have 3 cars and you lose 2, be grateful for the 1. I mean, we jump for joy. I still got 1 though. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, if you got 100 customers right now and you lose 50, be grateful for the 50 you still got left. Build for that. You feel me? Be grateful. Because remember, there was a time you didn't even have the 1.
Sure. There you go, man.
Good stuff. Yeah. That's good stuff, Emilio.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. And
you're welcome, man.
Time flies by when you're having fun.
Yeah,
guys. I've had a fantastic. I had a great time. I hope that I shared some things that were helpful to your audience. And God bless everyone. And God bless you guys, man. I will continue to support you. And I thank you again for the opportunity. I'm truly grateful.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm assuming once we get past all this, there's going to be the Capitalist Conversations tour.
Yes. So one of the things that we're going to be, yes. We one of the things I did, I kind of took, again, patience, not worrying, being not hasty, think through what it is that you want to do, trust in the universe, work and trust, right?
Sure.
And so there's some things that we are working on now that we're planning to do in between time, before we're able to go live, that I think are going to be really impactful. That we're going to share, and if you are, I'll share them with you. And if you are like for me to come back on and talk a little bit about that sometime, I would appreciate that. But I want to help. I'm going to do some things that I think are going to be really helpful for people to be able to take themselves to a whole nother level.
Wow.
And we'll be actually doing this project that I'm working on. It's an event. It'll be a global one. I'll be sharing some information with you about that very soon. With some really successful, really powerful people. I think it's going to be really an amazing event for people to be a part of. And we just talked to Dr. Roberts. Today we communicated, and the Action Has No Season tour, which you all were part of. Thank you for being a part of the Charlotte, the first stop of the tour, and being part of the launch party that we had in November, Marlon. And we had a great time there, right?
Had a good time.
And of course, the pandemic came along, and we were not able to continue on the tour, but we will be picking that right back up in 2021. And guess what? When it does, the time, the place, and that moment will be better than it would have been had we continued it this year.
No doubt, 100%, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so we got some really great things coming along for the next year and the rest of this year. So
And Emilio, the feedback's been phenomenal, man. Dr. Benita Harris said, excellent. So glad you shared with us, Mr. Guevara. All right. Alistair said, great stuff. Thank you. Carrie over in Australia said, thank you, Emilio. Ruth Bell said, Amelia, you are amazing. Thank you for the time you have given us, right? So, I mean, your impact, man. Time is so precious. And so I want to say thank you on behalf of the Real Money Coach. And Tony, it just had this download like, hey, let's have entrepreneurs come on. And man, it's a grand slam. So, really want to say thank you. And Tony, you want to say something before I do the closing?
No, I don't, man. But I just, again, I want to go back and hit some of these IMs, man.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's important. The people who decided that they wanted to put something in there. We started off with, I am great. And man, just going down through here, Kelly said yes. Ruth said yes.
Can I say, I'm gonna say one thing to that, to the affirmations. My daughter, I have always believed in affirmations, and for the time that she was a year and a half, I trained her to say affirmations. I actually have video of my daughter, 1.5 years old, where she would say every morning on the way to her daycare, she would say the affirmations. I am beautiful. I am smart. I am a champion. I am a genius. And every day she has done these affirmations. It was a year and a half. I have videos, so I have proof. What I'm saying. but see, because what you do with affirmations, and again, I'll be talking about this later on at some point. You're not trying to reach your conscious mind. You're trying to reach your subconscious mind. And I'll talk a little bit about that some other time. But as a result, he or she is getting ready to go into 3rd grade. And I'm not trying to brag or nothing like that, but she is my baby. You know what I'm saying? And she's got all 4s in all of her subjects. All O's and outstanding behavior. I mean, and I attribute that to your children. Spend that time, invest that time in, teaching them. My daughter, I have read Secret Agents to her since she was in the womb. And then when she was able to start reading it, she reads it every night. We would get her to read 2 children's books. And then the last thing that she reads before she goes into her sleep is a paragraph on Secret of the Ages.
Wow. Powerful. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah. Well, family, this has been great. And as Tony was saying, Timothy said, I'm a powerful Black man. Brother Day said, I'm an overcomer. CD said, I'm going higher. Evelyn said, I am what God says I am, not what they say I should be. Dr. Benita Harris said, I am successful in all things. Alice says, I am optimistic. Brad says, I am difference maker. Kevin said, I am. Adele said, wow, amazing. Evelyn said, I am who God says I am. Man, this is powerful. And what I love is Manny wrote a whole, couple paragraphs, and he's like, I'm going to change the capitalism, because it's great, but there's some room for improvement. So he's already talking about, he's going to, be an investment bank, create an investment bank, raise $150 billion in equity to help 320 million people, right?
Yes.
Right? So that's the thoughts, right? I mean, that's what you've been talking about. So it's been great. And so with that, I want to say thank you, everyone, for joining. And Emilio, you've been awesome, brother. So stay in the room. Don't leave.
I told you I have to make sure that I lived up to you guys. So I said, well, I hope that I can live up to the standards.
Yeah, I mean, brother, you got your earpiece. You know what I'm saying? You were drinking some water. I'm drinking my orange juice. Okay, so we had a good time. But stay in the green room. Don't leave, Emilio. I'm gonna do the final closing, and then we'll come and recap. Okay. So listen, everybody, just thank you so much for being here. As you saw, I'm sure you feel Emilio's energy, his passion, right? And that's the thing. Every night, 8:00 Eastern, Thursdays, come tune in. The Real Money Coach. Share with your family, your friends. I mean, we're bringing you really inspiration and information that makes a difference. And one of the things that I was just really recapping what he was sharing, and Riches Within Your Reach, okay, by Arthur Collier, and then also Secret of the Ages. Go check out those books, right? Secret of the Ages and Riches Within Your Reach, because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And that's by Robert Collier, both of those books. And Emilio said that transformed his life. And you heard him talk about how he's having his daughter, right? She's now going on 7, but a year and a half, he had her just, being transformed by the renewing of her mind, right? Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so with that being shared, I want to say thank you. And this has been really phenomenal. Everyone, Lisa said, thank you, Emilio. Manny said, thank you, Emilio. All right. Dale said, real people, right? Alice said, enjoyed you sharing. And so that's what this is about. So again, we're just on a mission. Tony, Chris Jackson, and I, we're just saying, we're going to make a positive difference because your voice matters. And what I want you to understand, somebody once told me, they said, Marlon, you're someone else's answered prayer. I want you to let that sink in tonight. Emilio talked about gratitude and being grateful, right? He talked about imagination, right? I mean, just take some time and just imagine. Do you know research studies show that you can't tell the difference between reality and vivid imagination? That's real talk. They can, they put the little sensors on to your brain. And if you just imagine yourself and you're fully engaged, they can't tell the difference between reality and imagination. So that's the power right here. So what are you focusing on? Remember the self-talk. Tony and Emilio talked about, the importance of self-talk. And that's why you wrote out your I am statements. So I'd encourage you tonight, before you go to bed, write the I am statement on a piece of paper or on a cardboard, poster board, put it on your bathroom mirror. That's one way. You see, what you focus on becomes your reality. So in conclusion, I want to say this. Thank you. We appreciate you. And remember, a vision without action is just a dream. A lot of action without a vision is merely a passing of time. But a vision with action can change the world. We'll see you next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Stay blessed.